Hello and welcome to my first video essay. Couple warnings before we start. So you might notice that parts of the video look very different from each other. That's because I recorded this originally a few weeks ago, and my first three little clips of the video got deleted or something. So half of this was recorded on my cell phone using my iPad as the script with no microphone. And the other half is me recording it on my iPad using my phone as the script with this little guy because he finally came in the mail. So, yeah, just a warning that the latter half of this is going to be much better video quality, but a lot less audio quality. The only reason I'm choosing to do this now and not do it when it's not dark out and when I'm wearing the same clothes is because I really don't care at this point. I have the motivation now. Why wait till later? Anyways, let's get started. Hello, I'm Eve Snapdragon. Welcome to my first episode. Here I talk about various things I see in the world. Today I'm talking about something that makes me angry. Something that I've had an organized rant about since 8th grade. Something that children and teens alike appreciate and obsess over. I'm talking about warrior cats. Don't get me wrong. I read the books, I made my own clans and cats, and I still love the concept. But if I may be blunt, the books kind of suck. Many people agree that there are way too many books. At time of recording, there are over 90. And they've been publishing these for 20 years, which according to math is 4.5 books a year. The script for this essay probably took a week or so because I'm really lazy and busy. But in all seriousness, 4.5 books a year is way too many to have real quality. These books also have a total cult following, mostly consisting of queer middle schoolers. Yes, straight middle schoolers and high schoolers like these books too, but the books are not extremely receptive to their audience. There's over 1,000 named characters with less than 10 confirmed queer characters who were pretty irrelevant to the story. The books are also insanely dark, with not a cool or metaphorical way like this talks about society. No, it's just a let's kill off every side character for mood. But here are my main problems. First off, a plethora of internalized misogyny. I doubt it's entirely on purpose, but all the females can fit into these categories, and also just the way they're treated and the way they're used in this narrative. No. Moreover, the world building is awful. The warrior code is absolutely stupid, and every character is a two-dimensional archetype. Finally, it's badly written, and there's way too much death. At least for it to be considered a children's story. I haven't read Game of Thrones. I'm not going to compare this to Game of Thrones, but there's a lot of death. Oh, and one more thing before we really begin. I know there's a lot of other problems that I just don't have the time to get into because I really want to focus on my main 3 points. However, some honorable mentions are 1. A lack of queer characters for a very queer audience. 2. Creepy age differences and incest. And 3. The romances suck. First off, internalized misogyny. It's everywhere. See, there's a big problem with female characters in the media. Usually, they're either the soft, bubbly, friendly type or the tough, I don't need anybody type. And I'm not saying that men get a lot of three dimensionality too, but in Warriors, the women are all one of these two types. And I'm getting into this a little deeper. You've got the soft spoken women who end up being baby machines. Yep, that's the term they're called. Not in the books, but in the entire fandom. It's because I'm getting into this later, but the books just kill off so many characters. They need characters who are just always there to reproduce and make more children. And these characters are seen as like sweet and loving and kind, and they spend all their time in the nursery. And I'm not saying like it's bad to like want to have a lot of children, but there are a lot of characters like this, more than there are in like real life. Another thing is that in the 18 books, I still can't believe I read that many. At almost any given time, 75% of the leaders were male. Unless you're counting like Leaf Clan or Tree Clan, which I don't because it's not a part of the main arc. Like, blah. So, suspiciously, most of the medicine cats were also female, so it was usually the men who were doing the hunting and fighting. Hmm, interesting. It really sucks. Anyways, another thing is no matter which archetype they just mellow down, get married, and have like at least one or two litters of kids. Like, I would see like a strong, independent female character who didn't need anything, and I feel like kind of inspired and empowered. Like, I'm not saying that like the tough archetype for women is always good, or that like you need to be like not needing anybody to be good. But I am saying like it gave us more like variety of characters. And it was kind of empowering as a young girl reading these. But no, they always just settled down and had kids. And I'm not saying it ruined the character, but I had this character whose whole thing was being independent, and then she wasn't independent. It's very frustrating. Let us, let us, let us women be. Let us be. Alas, it is time for me to leave you. I will leave you with a gift. A spoiler warning for the first 18 books. Skip ahead to this time to not be spoiled.
For example, when Bluestar finds out that her deputy that she trusted was lying to her this whole time, she becomes the husk of the woman she was, and then she commits suicide. It was to defend her clan, but still, can I just say, if Firestar found out someone he trusted was evil, he would pop off. He would be so angry. He would beat that person up. They would probably be dead. But no, Bluestar is a fragile, delicate woman. So she retreats and hides away and becomes a shell of the strong woman she used to be. For the record, I kind of think Bluestar was a fun character. I liked her before she went crazy. She was kind of cool. Another fun example of women's fragile intellect and mental capacity is Hollyleaf. Fork you, Hollyleaf. So basically, in the third subseries, there are three main characters, two male, one female. Side note, why is it that whenever there's a trio that are the main characters, it's always two guys and a gal? Like, that feels like it happens way more often than it should. Like, is there something wrong with outnumbering the men? That feels weird. They basically all realize their life is a lie, and the two dudes are like, I'm so disappointed in you, Mom. I'm really bummed out. And then the girl just like goes crazy. I think she attempts suicide. So basically, writing advice. Just remember, when a woman realizes that she's been wronged, instead of getting angry or trying to fight or defend herself, she goes nutso and tries to commit suicide. And I'm kind of saving this for later, but they wouldn't all have to have children if you didn't kill off every single freaking side character. Like, oh my god, so many side characters die, just like unnecessarily. At some point, it's not good. I could say a lot more about this, but there's a 90% chance I'll get off track and annoy y'all with my feminist rant, so I'll make a good decision and stop here. The terrible writing. So at this point, I think some of the Warrior Cat fans watching this video are probably trying to defend it, thinking, oh, well, if the leader's female and she's pregnant, that's a problem. What the frick is a deputy good for? Also, that sounds like the whole argument of why female presidents won't work. Menstruation actually gives us more testosterone, so periods make us more like men. are, well, the Warrior Code is like that because of StarClan and all that history. Shut up. Anyways, these can be valid points, but I'm about to destroy them. Well, my third point. That did not look as cool as I intended. I don't know, man. The death. Oh my god, it's everywhere. There are not going to be a lot of spoilers in this section, but there's going to be like, I don't know, 3. And they're only for the first 18 books or so. They're also not huge plot points, like they don't affect the plot almost at all. Death in your book should be one of the most important, massive things that happens in your book. It should have an impact. It should be big. It should affect the plot. It's freaking death. In the Warriors books, since every other side character gets killed brutally at some point or another, it's not. Take the example of Snowkit. Snowkit is a kit. He's a baby. Anyways, his mom takes him to the medicine cat. I believe this is all in one chapter, by the way. And she says, hey, something's forked up with my child. What is it? And the medicine cat does like some examinations. Snowkit is deaf. Now, we could be thinking here, oh, this is cool. Disabled representation in this book series. That would be amazing. If Snowkit is like a cool, awesome side character, that would be so empowering for lots of readers. In this same chapter, right after Snowkit is diagnosed as deaf, all the clan cats start freaking out because there's a hawk sweeping overhead. So everyone in the clan decides to run and hide into their den and not pick up the deaf kid, the deaf baby, who has no idea what is going on, and take him out of the way at all. There was a part in the Warrior Code where it was like, put kids' lives ahead of yours because they're important, even if they're not in your clan. So yeah, everyone in this clan, instead of doing anything about this confused kid in the middle of the clearing, just hides, and Snowkit is taken off by a hawk. That's one chapter. I don't even think it has any impact on the story. It's like one chapter that just comes out of nowhere, introduces this character, and kills him off. I know that later he's like a dead cat, but that's like far into the future, and I sincerely doubt that Aaron Hunter planned that out. Just knowing Aaron's reputation, no. That was just, hey, we have a dead cat with a tragic backstory that we can turn into a ghost. Another character is What's-Her-Face. I don't know What's-Her-Face's name. Probably because she was so forkin' irrelevant. Anyways, she was somebody's mom. And she got killed in between books by, like, a badger, I think. This could have been cool. They could have done something with this. But no, I don't remember exactly, but I think this was foreshadowing of the fact that badgers were going to appear later in the book. But it just wasn't really good foreshadowing. It was more of a someone got killed in a between books. Also, there was like no appreciation or mourning for this. I think her daughter was like, oh, I wish my mother could see me now at some point in the book. But whether or not this was purposeful foreshadowing, it was just a waste of a character. Why did she exist? Why did she die? What was her point? Because that was some really crappy foreshadowing. Finally, Honeyfern. I had to look up her name. This pisses me off so much. You have no forking clue. It was a happy, sunny day in the clan. Everything was well. Honeyfern and her boyfriend, Nate, I don't remember what they were right then. They were talking about how they were going to have kids and how beautiful they would be. Honeyfern might have actually have been pregnant at that point, and killing off a pregnant lady is just another level of messed up. But anyways, it was just peaceful and beautiful, and what the fork? There's a snake attacking a kid. It came out of nowhere, which is another great example of bad plot twists. Except Except this didn't do anything to the plot. It's called Make Your Readers Depressed. Anywho, Honeyfern protected this kit. She jumped in its way and saved it, and then she died because the snake bit her instead. This also had no effect on the plot at all. May I remind you what I said at the beginning about how death is kind of a big deal? Deaths are big, and they need to affect the plot. This isn't Game of Thrones. Like, if you're just killing off people left and right, then there are usually, like, no real stakes. And no stakes is a really lame climax. Anyways, I don't know. They could have done something here, at the very least. But I believe a few books later, Honeyfern's boyfriend husband was actually fooling around with her sister. He was like, oh, my pregnant wife got killed, so I guess I'll just have to take her less hot sister. Which is just so forked up. And then also, this kit, who's someone who was loved and probably pregnant, like, died to save its life, Briarkit, the authors literally just played around with Briarkit's life. Like, she ended up being paralyzed, and then there were like 20 bajillion attempts on her life. And it's just like, couldn't she have been like, I'm so grateful that someone died to save me, I'm going to be careful. It could have been a part of a character arc. But no, how dare we have interesting female characters? What a stupid thing to do. Anyways, those are my main 3 this really pisses me off deaths. World building and warrior code. Don't even get me started on the warrior code. It's actually crazy. A few rules are pretty reasonable, like we only kill prey to eat, or feed the elders, the children, and the pregnant ladies before the able-bodied people. That's all pretty reasonable. I can get on board with that. But it's some other stuff that makes me really concerned. There are 3 main parts of the warrior code that concern me. How they treat kitty pets, how they treat other clans, and how they treat medicine cats. First off, the kitty pets. They are basically house cats who were raised by humans. One thing that keeps coming up in the books is how they're always like kind of pissed off at the kitty pets who didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything to them. Like, yes, the kitty pets live a pampered life. They don't need to work hard, and yeah, they're kind of lazy. They don't appreciate nature and fresh food the same way warriors do, but someone just having a more pampered life than you isn't a reason to hate them, especially since they didn't do anything wrong. Like, they're literally just living their lives. They can't even change that either. That was just how they were raised. Unless you want to be like a whole main character and become Firestar, which is a little loco. Here's an example. I have friends whose parents are not very supportive of them or who are very strict. And I have pretty good parents who are very supportive and they're not super strict. My friends don't hate me just because I haven't had to deal with the same things they're going through. Is that odd? And in some other ways, it kind of feels like the warriors feel they are racially superior to the kitty pets, which, what the fork? Like, they all judge Firestar because of his background. And there's some other kid who was, like, born of kitty pets. And this kid is just, like, hated on just because of who his parents are. Not to sound communist or anything, but the warriors are really all about conformity and, like, empowering the hard workers, going against those who live a good life. So, communist warrior cats confirmed. America, freedom, USA, USA. Just kidding. My country is falling apart. Okay, the second problem I have with the warrior code is how the clans treat each other. Some of the rules they have, like, challenge anyone who's trespassing on your territory, or like defend your clan against other cats with your life, feel like they're trying to create enmity between the clans. A lot of the conflict in the books is just like, well, we don't like these cats, so we're just going to be mean to them and like steal from them. And then another part of the books is like the clans all come together to get through hard times together, because friendship. And it just doesn't feel right. All of this forced conflict between the clans just doesn't make any sense. You're all struggling to maintain yourselves in the wild, so why are you desperate to be enemies with everyone else? Like, girlfriend, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. It's just very unrealistic. Groups who go through trauma together generally want to support each other, yet, no, they all just hate each other. It's ridiculous. The Warrior Code is literally just artificial conflict. See, that's why they have over 90 books, because they all have the same basic premise. Clans from this clan hate this clan, so they hate each other for all the books, and then they get allies with the other clans, and so they all hate each other. And then there's this big fight scene, and then there's cats coming in from the outside who are trying to attack all the cats, and so they all band together because they're besties, and they don't hate each other's guts, except they do, because forced conflict. And then the medicine cats. Holy cannoli, broski. Holy cannoli indeed. I have a lot to say about medicine cats. I believe somewhere it says that medicine cats are only supposed to have one apprentice. And they have several other stupid problems, like you can't marry or have kids. But you can only have one medicine cat and one apprentice per clan, which seems like it's creating more problems than it's solving. Like, what if you're a medicine cat apprentice and your medicine cat is just a little bit older than you? You're almost the same age. They're going to, like, die someday, and then you're gonna be old. Like, you're gonna be on the brink of death or whatever. And then you need to train up a fully fledged medicine cat to sustain this whole clan. And you're not gonna have a lot of time. You're only gonna have, like, I don't know, a year, a few months, really, before you kick the bucket. It just sounds risky. I don't get the purpose of this. Moreover, medicine cats aren't allowed to have mates or children. Like, I know the Christian church does that with priests, but it kind of feels like the only healers in your society are a little different from priests, because healers are kind of vital for surviving as a whole. Not to hate on religion. I'm Catholic myself. Overall, the Warrior Code just feels like it's got a couple good things, and then the rest of it is just built to create unnecessarily plot lines and conflict, which I hate. Like, let your conflict be natural. Let it feel real. If that means you can't have 90 books, that's a good thing. Nobody wants to read 90 books. Unless, I don't know, maybe you do. I don't. Oh, and one more thing that I'll touch on later is you can't mate outside of your clan, which feels kind of like segregation. It's like judging, like, when, I don't know, like, a black person and, like, a Chinese immigrant decide to marry, like, and people make a big deal about it. Or, like, I don't know, back in the 60s when, like, black and white couples were, like, taboo. Finally, other crap that annoys me. Those are my main 3 points. Those are the things that I probably have the most evidence and emotion behind. However, there's some other stuff that pisses me off just because of how crappy these books are. So while I might not have enough about these minor subjects, they deserve to be honorable mentions. So I'll give them a little rant of their own. There is just a lack of queer characters. I know I mentioned this earlier, but these books are adored by the queer community. They are. And there are so few queers that do actual queer things in the stories. Saying a character is queer isn't enough. If you're like, oh yeah, this character's gay. Or, oh no, this character was bi. This character was agender. Just like on the internet, conforming it to your readers, that's different from actually having them be queer. Like, in the books, you need to have queer characters doing queer things. Or else it doesn't really count. Yes, they're queer, but are they really queer if they're not doing queer things. Anyways, it's just, you should be ashamed of yourself if a community that really loves your books is not getting any representation in your books. That's just, stop. Another great thing, creepy age differences. Like, it gets kind of weird. There might also be some incest too. There is one point in which a warrior showed interested in an almost warrior apprentice. This is like a young adult, someone 24, 25, showing interest in a 17-year-old. That's still 7 years. Even if Dustpelt was more on the young side for an adult, that's still messed up for there to be a fully fledged adult and someone who's still basically a teenager. Also, Dustpelt is like older than Firestar, I think, by like a little bit. I might be wrong, but I think that's how old he is. So he was born in like Arc 1. Well, before Arc 1, really. Also, I heard that Dustpelt and Ferncloud were uncle and niece. EU? What the fork? There's actually so much. It's because of everyone needs to mate, and we have two characters who haven't mated, so we'll put them together. Age gap, no problem. I also found a few Reddit posts with a lot of these, so I will link to them. The post is defending them, but it defends them in a way that I personally don't agree with. So keep that in mind. It's just there for your convenience if you want to read more on bad ships. Let's see, what else? Oh, bad romances. This is a little similar to the last one, but listen. All of the like best ones, or the ones with the most chemistry, or the ones where the characters like actually like each other, are illegal. Like outside of clans or ones in Medicine Cat, and just bad stuff happens. Like, couldn't you have one good ship where they end up together? Like, one. The rest of them are, this female cat doesn't have a mate, so she can't have kids. Oh, here's a male cat without a mate. Let's put them together. They'll be besties for the resties. It feels kind of like arranged marriage, where it's just like we have people who need to get married so that they can have kids. So let's just, boom. Magic. In conclusion, if you like these books, I don't think you're a bad person. If you liked these as a kid, you don't have horrible taste, I guess. But these books are now well written and quite problematic. If you take out a magnifying glass, whether intended or not, there's a lot of hurtful impressions that can be gained from these books. So while I think it's completely cool to enjoy them, or you want to make your own fan fictions of them, it's probably a good idea if you allow yourself to just take a step back and remind yourself not to take these books too seriously.
First off, internalized misogyny. It's everywhere. See, there's this big problem with female characters in the media. Internalized misogyny. It's everywhere.